Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion, your host, the Hut, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut. And we are celebrating the Mets winning tonight, going to the postseason, and have a party here tonight. And tonight, of course, the Braves, the scum-sucking Braves, got the consolation prize. They don't even look like they won anything. They're smiling, but they're not whooping it up like the Mets whooped it up in the first game as a doubleheader. The Mets are going to the postseason. They'll be playing the Brewers tomorrow. Back to Milwaukee. It's where you wanted to go. Anywhere to get the postseason is the best thing that could happen here. Hello, Nelson. Hi, how are you? Yes, the Mets are going to the postseason now. They'll be playing the Brewers over the next 3 days at the max. Best 2 out of 3. They looked pretty good yesterday, but it was a must-win for the Mets. They had to win that game yesterday. And then if the Mets are lucky enough to get through the Brewers, they will play the Phillies, I think, on Saturday. So the Phillies will have like the whole week not to play. The Guardians, the Yankees, the Phillies, and the Dodgers will be off until, I guess, Saturday. And then we have these wild card games. Again, the Mets will be on Saturday. And, the Mets will be on tomorrow playing the Brewers in that best of 3 games against the Milwaukee team. And now we're going into the clubhouse. That's clubhouse. And going to celebrate. Now, of course, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And like this video. It's been sort of a very intense day today. A little worn out from that first game. And 5 out of 6 games, the Brewers struck out 51 Mets in the 6 games. Okay? But the first 3 games of the season, the Mets were a very different team than they are now. Hold on, Adrian. Quick. I was on earlier, right after the first game. And the Mets, one of the most incredible games we've seen around here in a long time. So much tension, so much drama in the last 2 innings. And the Mets won. The kind of game that we haven't seen around here since probably 1986. They mentioned during the broadcast in the second game. We haven't seen a game like this since then, especially on the road. Mets haven't won a game like this on the road, and they've never won a game like this in Atlanta with so much at stake. Because if the Mets have lost, they might have won today's game or they might have lost today's game, but there would have been an enormous amount of pressure, obviously, on the Mets, more than the Braves. The Braves don't have a lot of pressure on them. The fans don't give a shit. The fans care up to a certain point. They didn't sell out the ballpark. Now they're getting the champagne ready. They all got the glasses on. Hello, Nelson Cruz. The 2 Nelsons. Ha ha. But, the Mets didn't get the consolation prize today. They won the first game. And I figured that the first game, whoever was going to win that first game, they weren't going to give a shit in the second game. And the Mets didn't care in the second game. They wanted to get this game over with. They only played a 2-hour game. 2-hour, 15-minute game. And it's great to see they get a chance to celebrate because they didn't get a chance to celebrate 2 years ago. And it's a totally different feeling for myself, and I'm sure it's for you. To see them celebrate now, it's worth it. This team got off to such a horrific start. They were 0-5 to start the season. This was all the way back in April, and to be 22-33 to start the season. And now the Braves ran. Hey, assholes, you had a lead on the Mets. You were so far out in front of the Mets. Now, the Diamondbacks, who had a terrible week, had an absolutely terrible week. Mendoza's is talking to the club. Know what he's saying. Right. Yeah, Mets got a big job ahead of them now. You know, player development, scouting, domestic, everybody. Before the year started, nobody thought we would be in this position. Let me turn up. We got to April. Hope we can hear it. By the time we got to the end of May, we were sellers. Everybody knew you guys needed to be traded. And guess what? You guys got together. You guys trusted each other. You had each other's back. You held each other accountable, and here we are. And I want to go back to the spring training again, but when we signed J.D. Martinez in his press conference, he said, I'm going to take them to the playoffs. And guess what? A lot of people laughed at him. Here we are, boys, and yep. He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. He said that when they signed J.D. Martinez, J.D. said that the Mets were going to go to the playoffs, and people laughed at him. So many people doubted them. All the assholes at WFAN doubted them. Your host didn't. I didn't. Far from it. Let's give this team a chance, I said. And we've given them a chance, and now they've sold it. That's right. Oh, boy. I would mention. Got some bad news, actually. Some really bad news. Pete Rose passed away. Holy shit. Wow. That's big news tonight. Now, that's big news, but not big. I don't want to sound like Michael. I wasn't a fan. They just had like a big, like, documentary on him on HBO. Crazy. But anyway, let's go to a different segue. Wow, that's big news tonight. Wow.
Someday they'll be sitting in these seats too. 38 years from now, please. I can't think of another double out of Well, that was
that's sad.
Day. I mean, we saw earlier today one of the greatest baseball games we've ever seen, with the Mets shut out for 7 innings, rallying in the 8th, giving it away in the bottom of the 8th, and then getting the biggest hit of the year, the biggest hit in years for the Mets from Francisco Lindor.
Yeah, I mean, the game today, this afternoon, the game this afternoon, with the Mets haven't played that game.
Jerry, thanks a lot. Carlos, first year as a Major League manager.
You turn the sound up on calls.
What was the moment for you this season where you said, you know what, this team, we might have something here?
It's hard to pick one specific time because we had so many. You know, when it was on the field, off the field. I could go back and start pinpointing so many different moments that we knew we had something special. What a privilege, what an honor. Like you said, first time manager, first time doing it, and here we are celebrating. Credit to a lot of people, our owners, Steve and Alex, and the whole organization. This is not about just the players and the people that come here every day.
We think he wasn't a Met. That's interesting that this happened. Because like I said, they had a documentary on Pete a few months ago on HBO. Find out what he passed away from. He didn't look that bad in that film.
This is your destiny, that you could be a major league manager.
Yeah, they got Mendoza now on. They're talking to him in the clubhouse. That guy did an incredible job. Deserves all the credit in the world because, to be honest with you, so many people were knocking him when they hired him. That clown Frank Fleming said that he was going to lose 110 games the next 3 years. That he was going to be the worst manager in the history of baseball. Guys like Greg Giannotti were belittling this man when really I didn't know him much about him. Most Met fans didn't know him, but they were making fun of this poor guy. They made fun of David Stearns.
Because we are believing. Nobody thought we would be here, and here we are.
How did you maintain that belief when things were so bleak early?
I knew I had great people here. This is a first-class organization, and these are our standards, you know. And we just have to enjoy it, man.
There you go, Dwight. Guys,
Now, please hit the like button if you haven't already. Sorry to be sort of paying attention to the celebration during the game, in the clubhouse. See, they mentioned this on the broadcasters are still on.
Ralph Kiner and Tim McCarver were in a celebration for our 86 team. And Tim McCarver had told Ralph, did you bring any extra clothes? You didn't need an extra jacket. And Ralph brought the extra jacket. And when the celebration began, Ralph looked and Tim had his extra jacket on. That's a better move right there. I mean, you could hear the emotion from Carlos Mendoza. This was just a phenomenal job by all concerned. The architect.
Let me show the celebration. Just trying to catch up a little bit here. We got big news here on the side. P-Rose, terrible news, but hey, the Mets promised that they were going to get this team to the postseason, and they did that. Amazing. No pun intended. And this was probably the biggest one I've seen on the road for the Mets to have since '86 on Game 6 against the Astros. You know, huge win. Gutty, gritty. You know, there's no guarantee in a second game, and you're on the road. You're in Atlanta. The Mets have played so badly there. You know, and to be able to sort of squeak out the win and really have just an incredible win and finish. Maybe play the clip of no sound to it.
From one day to the next, regardless of what's going on, regardless of whether we
But just a great win, but then again, like I said, the most important thing is tomorrow. Celebrate as much as we can tonight, but tomorrow is another day. I've been saying this for the last month and a half that every game is a playoff game with the Mets, and we continue on with the playoffs. Continue on with that. Let's see what's updated on X. See, there's more stuff on P-Rose. Terrible news. Aside from the Mets winning tonight. Now, please, of course, hit the subscribe button. I'd like to go into details because I didn't like keep details in the game. We'll be off a little bit. And do a retrospect of the club a little bit tomorrow for you, I think. It's funny when they're done with the champagne, they start with the beer. Start with the beer. Go with the beer.
It's not that difficult. Like, you just commit to it. And you say we're going to be positive. You say we're going to care about each other.
I wonder if they're going to mention that at the end of the broadcast about Pete. Plus, a lot of big players this year. A lot of old players. Okay, this is what Mendoza said. You didn't hear it earlier. By the time we got to the end of May, we were sellers. We signed J.D. Martinez in his press conference. He said, I'm addicted to the playoffs, and guess what? A lot of people laughed at him. It's true. A lot of people made fun of this team. You know, when they were signing all these different players. I know I was not a fan of the Mets signing Shomania. And he's been great. Even though he didn't pitch well his last start. in Milwaukee. He has pitched great for the Mets. Severino, a lot of people question whether they should sign Severino because he hadn't pitched, a lot of innings over the years. Rocky Marciano says, how old is he? He's 83. From Jay Dorfer, I'm so emotional about the win. Happy and excited, just all the feels. It is great. This is what Pete said. It's Pete Alonso. Just wow, this is surreal. Vibes are immaculate. The celebration is so deserved. They didn't have that 2 years ago. For whatever reason, they were stupid. They didn't do it. But this year, they did doing it. And they deserve it. If any team deserve to get a real party, it's this team.
Let's go back downstairs to Steve, who's standing by with the Mets MVP. Steve. Certainly a Mets MVP, and he's right up there.
And Lindor, who I completely destroyed for 4 years, for 4 seasons, he really has come through. That home run will go down as one of the great moments in the history of this ball club. No matter how far they go, this sets them up for next year and beyond, and begins to cement his legacy here as a player. He certainly earned the money that the Mets are paying him. Certainly doing all that. Steven says, I think Yankees will make the World Series versus the San Diego Padres. Okay, good to see them. We'll see. Both National League and American League are up for grabs. So anything is possible. Steven, I'm going to assume you're a Yankee fan, Stevie. I'm going to assume that, you're a Yankee fan. Little Stevie. See, a typical Yankee fan. I don't think too many Met fans were going into their live streams or any Yankee channels mocking the Mets by talking about the Yankees and the Padres. But that's how much in the minds the Mets are to the Yankee fans and to all the other fans in Major League Baseball. That's why they're always mocked online. Andre says they don't have nothing to celebrate about, especially if we have to play the Brewers again. Okay. Don't be a killjoy, Andre. Well, you're like a killjoy. I'm glad you're not at the party. You'd be sitting there on the side with a beer in your hand. Goodness. Lighten up, man. There's a lot to celebrate because this team was not expected to go to postseason. This is a major accomplishment for this organization and for the Mets. It really is. And they get up to an 0-5 start. They're the fourth team that would do that. They were 22-33. They played the best baseball since that point. And that is something to celebrate. That's a major accomplishment. Anthony Guia says, rest in Pete. Pete Rose, right on. Pete, now get in the Hall of Fame. He said he would get in the Hall of Fame after the fact. Rocky Marciano says, Brewers always lose in the playoffs. Right. You've got to sort of be positive. I've been positive all year long, folks. I've been positive all year long with the Mets. I mean, I got a little shaky in May because they were 9-19 in May. 9.
How is that back truly coming along right now? It's good. There's a phase of
9-19 in May. They had an okay April. They really started picking up in June, July. I mean, really the turning point, and they said this during the broadcast, was when Jorge Lopez threw his glove into the stands, and they brought in Iglesias, and they brought in Torrance. The turning point of this season was that second London game, when the Mets won that game on a historic play. What was it, a 2-2-3 double play? That turned the whole season around, was that game specifically. And since that point, the Mets have played great. It's also, in a lot of ways, this validates 2 years ago. In a lot of ways. I'm not saying that excuses the team from 2 years ago, but rather it is like it tells you how 2 years ago they weren't as bad as they were at the end. This is essentially the same group, other than the pitching staff. Other than the pitching staff, It's basically the same team. Nimmo's here. Jeff McNeil. I feel bad for McNeil. He didn't get a chance to celebrate. I don't even know he's with the team. And he played great in the second half, and then he broke his wrist. But Nimmo's had big hits in the last few weeks, and Lindor was great. Historic. Legendary. Darren just says the greatest historical runs in the club's history. It's up there with 69, I think. They were comparing a lot of this to 73 today. Because in 73, they played a doubleheader on the day after the season, and they won the first game, and then they forfeited the second game because they already clinched. No wild card then. You just go through a couple of things. I posted a video of myself watching the last few acts of the game. It's pretty good. You need to check it out. This from David Stearns. I'm happy for everyone in here. I'm happy for Mets fans. We're a franchise that hasn't had enough of these moments, and we need to have more of these moments. He's absolutely right. First year general manager here with the Mets. First time manager with the Mets. And they went to postseason. That's something to consider as a real accomplishment. Please, of course, hit the subscribe button and like this video if you haven't already. Just trying to see if there's any update on Pete Rose. If there's any update. If you don't know, Pete Rose passed away. Which I find interesting because they had that documentary on him. So, terrible news. But good things on man. Not one of my favorite people in the game. I talked about Iglesias. Yeah, so like the moments in this game that in the first game earlier was the 11 pitch at bat to Tyrone Taylor, who had a great game. He played really well in the second game, but he's played great in September. He's had over 350, whatever it is. He really made a big difference over the last few weeks. Obviously, we know that Jose Iglesias has a 22-game hitting streak. 22-game hitting streak. And he has been great. But that's what you get from a role player. Role players are very important when you get late in the season. The Mets are going to get killed today by Ozzie Albies, who is a role player. He's not a star. He is an everyday player. And I'm not hooked up to the cat. What the hell, man? I didn't realize I didn't have my mic on. Hold on a second. The professional streamer here. All right, here we go.
Here we go. This is supposed to be a professional live stream here. My goodness. Andre says if they truly wanted revenge, they should have swept the Braves. Okay. Andre, are you a Met fan? I don't think you're a Met fan. You don't come across as a Met fan. Why? If you're a Yankee fan, I guess you got nothing better to do. What are you going to do for the whole week? Hello, Michael Moss. Jay Darford says, I'll miss Gary, Keith, and Ron. Absolutely. They said that Brett Beatty was with the Mets. Brett Beatty celebrate. Brett Beatty. I guess he was going to be here in case there was an issue with an injury, I guess. Andre says Mets and Yankees. So that means, but then you mock the Mets and the Mets fans? I don't believe it. You're a Yankee fan. You can't be both. I'm sorry. You can't be both. Yeah, they were talking a lot about the contributions, the Daniel Nunez, and we can't like sort of mitigate all these different moves that Stearns made. Stearns had like no tolerance for lousy playing. He got rid of Joey Wendell when they signed him to a major league contract. They got rid of Omar Narvaez, who was an anchor on this team, and they were desperate to try to trade him in the offseason, from what I heard. Um, they did everything they could to squeeze wins out of this team. Reed Garrett, Reed Garrett, who has been a terrible major leaguer, bounced around. He's had an ERA over 7. They got him to pitch really well. I had said before the season, and we talked a lot about what Stearns did in Milwaukee, how he was able to cobble a pitching staff together, how he was able to get guys to get outs when they needed to get outs there. And he did that. He's done that here. Now, if the Mets win this whole thing, he should be executive of the year. You know, this is wonderful to say. From D. Dorfer, I'm a Mets fan for as long as I can remember, but I'll never forget the 2000 Subway Series. That's unforgettable. That's unforgettable, quite frankly, Jay. One of the most unmemorable World Series I can remember. The one in 2015 was more memorable. You know. Oh, so Andre's a Yankee fan. You're a Yankee fan. What the hell are you coming in here pretending to be a Met fan? You're not a Met fan. And I never seen you here before. Again, Yankee fans are so um, enamored with the Mets. They love the Mets. Andre loves the Mets. Every Yankee fan loves the Mets. And it's not because they can make fun of them. They see a lot of themselves in them. Don't doubt me. Yeah, I mean the Mets are Rocky. Absolutely right. The Mets are due. The Mets are long overdue. There are so many teams that have won. The Cubs have won recently. The Royals. Is the other team. The White Sox in the last 20 years. Believe it or not, Mets are getting up there in terms of how many years. Thank God for the Indians/Guardians. They have one. They're the team that has the longest streak. The Mets are getting awfully close, and of course, the Padres have never won anything. The Brewers have not won anything. So it would be nice if the Mets were to get off the schneid here. But that's not really about what we're talking about here. What we want now is to win tomorrow. Tomorrow's a big game. They're playing at 5:30. We'll see who they're going to pitch. I would think Severino's going to pitch. Um, I don't know who the Brewers are going to put out there, but the Mets are going to throw out Severino in that game. The Mets are going to, do what they do. I can't tell you how happy I am, and I know you're all happy. You're very confused. You're very confused, Andre. So the Mets just went out in the field to take pictures of themselves with the OMG signs. Yeah, I mean to be able to win in Atlanta, that's an enormous victory. It really gets rid of a lot of demons. I was trying not to talk too much about it, to be honest with you. Give thanks to Grimace. That's right. Give thanks to Grimace because it wasn't for Grimace. That's when it started. God bless Grimace. Because if it wasn't for Grimace, the Mets would not be here right now. That's for damn sure. That's for damn sure. We got to thank Grimace. We got to thank Max Wiener, Seymour Wiener, who's a 100-year-old veteran from World War II. Max, I'm not being fresh. The little Chihuahua, what the hell his name is. And of course, we have to see if the Mets get to the second round against the Phils. We need to see Grimace throw out a pitch. That would be excellent. Wouldn't it, folks? Hold on, I need a drink. Look. It's nice to see Keith with a big smile on his face. It makes me feel good because there's a lot of pride there with these older guys, because we all know what happens when the Mets win, how people go crazy for it. It's very different when the Yankees win, to be honest with you. Yeah, I mean that road trip that they had, I guess it was against Seattle and and Arizona. They had that bad loss on Sunday to where Diaz gave up a 3-run home run, I guess, on Sunday, and then he gave up the home run to walk off that game too, and then they won the next day. That was sort of the last real big turning point of this season, and gave them a lot of momentum. It'll be interesting to see what the Diaz's availability will be for tomorrow. Probably he's probably not going to. Hell out of here. I got this goofy friend. His name is Tiny Ed. He kept telling me that you needed to wear one sock during the game. I'm not wearing one sock. I didn't need to one sock. He's thank you, babe. I call him Tiny Ed because he's always sick. The guy, poor guy. Not wearing one sock. I tried that the other day. It didn't work. Not that I'm superstitious, but D. Dorfer says I highly doubt Diaz plays tomorrow. Well, we'll see. I mean, we'll see. Um, he he was really struggling with his command. He kept falling behind. He was doing basically what he was doing early in the season. But they gutted him through that last inning because uh, because it was so huge to be able to have him available for that second. I was surprised that they brought him back out. I thought they were going to go to Stanek in the ninth inning. But I guess Diaz didn't want to take a chance. And, I mean, Mendoza didn't want to have to deal with stupidity after the game. So, whoa, you know, um, well, what did you use Diaz in the ninth inning? Of course, he didn't cover first base in the eighth inning, which was the third out in the eighth inning. He had said after the game. He had said after the game that he thought it was going to go foul. Even if you think it's going to go foul, go to first. All you got to do is go to the line and just go with the run. He would have beaten it. He would have gotten him. And even though Pete, I said this in the live stream earlier, even though Pete has not hit, his defense has been excellent. So that's the one thing we can say is that Pete's defense over the last 2 months, really the last month, has been great. He's made all the plays. He's made all the plays in the hole, all the plays uh, down the line too. I get this shirt. This October Ready shirt. Got to get one of those. This from Jeff Pazan. Atlanta Braves manager Brian Snickard. I don't care for him. I don't care for that guy. Told reporters he doesn't expect National League Cy Young favorite Chris Sale, who was scratched today with back spasms, to pitch in their wildcard series against the Padres. Massive loss for the Braves, whose rotation is now in flux. F them. They jerked the Mets around for the past week of running around like lunatics because they couldn't decide on what the hell they wanted to do, and obviously they were covering up for the fact that Sale couldn't pitch. They probably would have swept the Mets if they played 3 games in a row, but that didn't happen. No, 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 no. That did not happen. Again, it'd be interesting to see if they say anything about Pete Rose during the broadcast. If you haven't heard, Pete Rose has passed away. I'm very surprised by that because they did a documentary about a month and a half ago during the summer, and you know, and he looked fine for his age. Maybe he got sick. When you get to a certain age, anything can happen at the last minute, and God could call you. Very complicated guy. At the clubhouse now. Be interesting to see if this is the end of Pete with the Mets. Excuse me. Because Pete, he's a great kid, but he hasn't really had a great year. Um, he's had a good month defensively, but it'll be interesting to see how he plays in this postseason now. Uh, because sometimes postseason it gets you. Uh, Bayonet says your facial expression when the Mets clinch will go down in infamy. Huh? That doesn't mean you. I think that means that sounds like a negative thing. It should be that going down in history. But there won't be any videos on the on next year yet, because obviously with the Mets now in this thing, everything's going to stop now with postseason. Uh, and tomorrow's October 1st. That's in October baseball. I got to get that shirt. I'll get that shirt tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow or Wednesday. Maybe Wednesday. We'll see. Now, of course, please hit the like button and subscribe. I don't want to get into too much detail about what happened today because so much happened in that game, and now it's like one game later. This is all about just an overall kind of celebration of the season. Jay Dorfer says, I feel Pete will have an amazing postseason and become a Daniel Murphy and get traded. And gets traded. Well, Murphy didn't get traded. Yeah. You're having Champagne Bay on that? If the Mets win a World Series, I will drink here. I will have a champagne here. That I will do. I don't drink, but I will drink that night. That I will do. Pete's not going to get traded. He's a free agent now. You'll bring the whiskey. Yeah, I'll have some champagne. I'll have to find a place. I don't know any place around here. I don't really go to any liquor stores. So I'll get champagne if we get close to World Series. So, and that'll be fun. Seeing your host a little tipsy. Steve Cohen fulfilled a promise to us. He said that this team was going to go to the postseason. When the team was struggling in May, he said that they were going to go to postseason. When they put the team together and we went to when we went to spring training, he said the team was going to postseason. He said in the offseason the team was going to go to postseason. He delivered. David Stern said this team was going to go to postseason. He delivered at every point for this club. Both of them did. And we need to sort of recognize that. And Steve Cohen, 2 of the 4 years as owner of the Mets, he has taken the Mets to 2 postseasons. That is great. And we're still in that 5-year window, folks. We're still in that 5-year window. Don't forget that. We're still in that 5-year window. He's got 1 more year. He said within 5 years that this team would win the World Series. Okay. So that's something to keep in mind. Now it's done. Take the plastic down in the clubhouse. Yeah, the party's out is done inside the clubhouse. The Mets are going to be leaving. They're going to be getting out of here. If they weren't like going into Milwaukee after this, right? For tomorrow, they would be still celebrating pretty hard. The celebration's not going to be that long. But yeah, I mean, Steve Cohen has delivered on 2 of the 4 years he's been owner of this club. The Mets have been to the playoffs. That can't be sort of pushed away. Maybe something interesting about Francisco Lindor. Lindor has 39 doubles, 33 home runs, 91 RBIs, and 29 stolen bases. He's the only shortstop in Major League history to hit those numbers in the same season. Wow. I mean, and he had a huge hit, one of the biggest hits in the history of this franchise in that ninth inning. I can't tell you how big of a home run that was and how big of a hit that was. The one thing that's going to suck about the Mets going to postseason is we're going to get tortured with these national broadcasts. We're going to get tortured with Michael Kay. He's doing some of the games. Um, John Smoltz is going to be there at the end. Kevin Burkhardt, who is the kiss of death whenever it comes to any big Mets games. I'm very concerned about that at the end because he's going to be doing the games and the pre games, in the World Series. And I'm very concerned about that. You know, damn straight. You know. Now, please like this video and hit the subscribe button. So tomorrow we'll be back here after the Mets game against the Brewers. I would think that Severino's going to pitch tomorrow because they were holding him back in the second game. I would mention Joey Lucchesi pitched really well, and you could tell that the Mets didn't give a shit. He didn't give a shit in that ninth inning. Brendan Nimmo, who hustles all the time, did not hustle in that ninth inning. He wanted to get out of there so they could celebrate. Same thing with Pete. They said during the game that eight managers have taken 11 Mets teams to the postseason, and Carlos Mendoza is the latest, and he's the second Met manager in his first year to do it. Obviously, Buck was the first to do it 2 years ago. D. Dorfer says, do the Mets radio do postseason? Yeah, of course they do. Of course they do. It'll be interesting to see how they divvy up the duties, because Howie doesn't do the road games, but he was doing the road games, in Milwaukee, and I know he did the game today. And they're a 3-man booth. It'll be interesting to see if Rad is there and McCarthy is there. Those guys are pretty good too. But Howie had great calls there. If you didn't hear them, you need to check it out. Go on X and you'll see it. You'll hear how great his calls were. Just unbelievable calls, in the ninth inning, you know. Yeah, Mets clinch 11th postseason berth in franchise history. And now we go on to postseason for the first time in 2 years. And maybe we can see if we can go deep this time around. This bullpen is I think I'm not sure. It might be a little bit better than it was 2 years ago. The pitching staff is better. The starting staff is much better in September than it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, they were a train wreck. Scherzer was pitching terrible. DeGrom was not what DeGrom. I mean, he did pitch well in Game 2 against the Padres, but it was just a disaster down all the way down the line. And now we have very different pitching staff. We still have the same closer, and Ottavino's still here, but the very different pitching staff and maybe a more gritty group. And this team has come so far. This team has come so far as a team. It's going to be interesting to see how they react tomorrow. Because the Brewers are going to be tough. They have a great bullpen. They steal bases like crazy. And they've beaten up on the Mets. And a big reason the Mets won yesterday is because the Brewers called off the dogs. Now everything is even. There's no everybody's in the same position now. We're into postseason. And a star and a hero can come out of nowhere. I'll give an example. Harrison Bader. who had 2 chances to drive in runs today and did nothing. But 2 years ago, when he played for the Yankees, was hitting home runs like crazy. He was the only bright spot for that team 2 years ago with the Yankees. You know, and look at Daniel Murphy back in 2015, how great he was in 2015. Where he carried the Mets through those 2 series. Didn't do anything in the World Series, by the way, because they took a week off. But, and of course, the pitching. Who's going to step up? Who's going to not step up? It's good to see that JD Martinez had a hit yesterday. He had good at-bats today. It is so important that he got on track. Because I said this all year long, folks, that guy hits big-time pitching. He's not a guy. He's not afraid of the moment. Okay? And he said this yesterday that the Mets weren't expected to be here. Okay? The Mets were not expected to be here. So the fact that they're here now, well, you're gonna have to win. Mets are gonna have to win. Tomorrow's the most important day. Win tomorrow. You got an edge over the Brewers for the second game, and we'll see where we're at. If not, you go to game, whatever. We'll see. But tomorrow, for a 3-game series, you have to win the first game. Even more so than in a 5-game series or a 7-game series. They have to win that first game. Win the first game, you got 2 chances to win the series. And I would mention, somebody mentioned in the chat, the Brewers have not been good in postseason. They've been good at getting to the postseason, but they're not good in postseason. They've only been to NLCS once in the last 10 years. Jeremy Berman says this, Drill Day won today, nervous about the series against the Brewers. You know what? Just happy to be there. I was more nervous about the team 2 years ago than I was this time. I feel pretty good about them, to be honest with you. I feel actually better about them going up against the Brewers than I was 2 years ago. I was very nervous about them going up against the Braves. Very nervous about them going up against the Padres. I wasn't nervous yesterday. I knew the Mets were going to win yesterday. I knew the Mets were going to win that first game today. It got very nervous. I was like, even when they were behind, and after the Diaz gave the double to Albies, I was like, I think they're going to get through this. I think they're going to carry this. They got a shot at this. They did get lucky. They were able to get Lindor up in the 9th inning. He would have tied the game up. Even if Marte hadn't gotten on, I think he would have tied the game up. So it is so enormously. You have to remember that the most important thing is the next day. The Mets starter has to go into the 6th inning. The reason the Mets won the last 2 games is the starters went into the 6th inning. Peterson pitched great yesterday. Got the Mets into the 7th. Pitched 7 innings, strong innings. Excellent, brilliant innings. Today, McGill, he didn't have great stuff, especially in that first 2 innings. He was sort of trying to find his fastball, and he was all over the place. But he was able to get the Mets into the 6th inning. We can't sort of forget about how well Brazelbaum pitched in that 6th inning to get the Mets out of that inning, and the 7th inning by Adam Ottavino. Because those guys were able to give the Mets a chance to come back in the game. And, of course, you had that big rally in the 8th inning. Probably the biggest innings we've seen since 1986. And a big spot on the road against a big opponent, a rival. This is not like, the Astros. The Astros weren't really a rival to the 86 team. The Cardinals were. The Cubs were. But this team, this Braves team, is a real pain in the ass. And what they did last week was Bush League. And to see them now basically have a consolation prize with them winning the second game. I would say this. If the Mets had not won that first game and then had to come back and play the second game, they would have been completely deflated. It would have been tough to get going for the first 2 innings. And you saw that with the Braves. Even though the Braves won, they got a consolation prize. Now, what if you're the Diamondbacks? Aren't we glad we're not the Diamondbacks right now? The Diamondbacks had a game last week. They were winning 8-0 in Milwaukee. They will be kicking themselves all off season now for that loss. They were winning 8-0 against the Brewers on Sunday. This was last Sunday, and the Brewers came back and won 10-9. They tied the game up and then they won the game. Unreal, crazy. Jeremy Berman says, "Would you have preferred if the Mets were playing the Padres?" I don't really care. I don't think it matters at this point. You throw that stuff out the window when you get the postseason. Um, it's really about who's playing the best baseball. The Brewers finished up strong. The Mets finished up strong. You know, I don't think it really matters at this point. Uh, so I don't think it's that really that important who they play. Just to get there is the most important thing. And then the next stop is Philadelphia because the Phillies are waiting, and they'll be waiting for any team on Saturday. And hopefully be able to live stream after that game or just talk to you about it. Um, we're gonna have a lot of fun this week. This is gonna be a great week, and today was a great day. To be honest with you, folks, today was an excellent day, and I'm happy. You know, because I was very much on the side of giving this team a chance. A lot of people didn't give them a chance. I know a lot of people that subscribe to the channel didn't give the club a chance, and I felt, well, you got a new general manager. He knows what he's doing. He's built a winner in Milwaukee. He's got a lot of money at his disposal. We have a great owner. I feel like this team is just as good. I felt this for many years that they were just as good as the Braves, just as good as the Phillies over the last 3 years, but they've had a lot of bad luck. They've had two major injuries to the club 3 years ago when they lost Lindor for 6 weeks and when they lost DeGrom for half the year. And I felt that team was such a good team, and I thought it was unfair to see them sort of collapse like that, and then see the Braves badly get in. And then 2 years ago, they won 101 games, and that was a lot. That was a great season. But the way it ended left such a bitter taste with so many people, and I was like, wait a minute, this team has talent. And then you saw what happened last year, where you had an old pitching staff. DeGrom was gone. They brought in Verlander. He didn't pitch well. He was hurt. Scherzer was a disaster. He killed them for every loss the Mets had. That was a key loss. He had his hand in it. And I'm like, what is going on here? This team has talent. Now, obviously, they lost Edwin Diaz before the season, but I was like, this team has talent. Why aren't they winning? And you start to realize that sometimes management doesn't do a good job. The front office doesn't do a good job. Sometimes ownership doesn't do a good job. And sometimes, it makes it very difficult to win. The Mets have a great owner. They've had a great owner for the last 4 years. He's done an excellent job. He just wants to win. He's like us. He's a Met fan. And we have a great owner. But he waited a long time to bring in this general manager. He waited 4 years for this guy. And to see him do the job that he did, I was like, you got to give him a chance. And so many people didn't give him a chance. WFAN were calling him a dweeb. After 4 days, they wanted him to get fired because they were saying that they were trying to pretend that they were like Met fans, pretending to know what's going on in the minds of other people. What's going on here? Let me just see something. It's probably Francesa. Francesa's talking about the Mets post game. Sir, foul player Brooklyn, the king of Mets YouTube. Thank you. The best regular season win of all time. Well, it's up there. It's not 99 when they got the play-in game against the Reds and Al Leiter pitched that two-hit shutout. That was great. Hello, D-Ron Rivera. Hello, an irresistible chicken sandwich. David Stearns is the right guy because when he's a Met fan, he knows what it takes to put a winning team together. He put this pitching staff together, essentially. Okay? And the Mets did a great job last year getting rid of Scherzer, getting rid of Verlander, and now we're done with them. Now they're off the payroll. But most importantly, that's from ownership. Billy Epler did not do a good job here in terms of the pitching angle with the Mets. And obviously he was doing all kinds of stuff behind the scenes with the whole manipulation of of the injured list. But they brought in a great guy, knows what he's doing. He hired a terrific manager. He's terrific. And he has the respect of that clubhouse. He's got the respect of the other teams. If you notice, even though the Mets lead the league in hit by pitches, I don't feel like, I don't know what anybody else does. I don't feel like the other teams are taking advantage of the Mets, okay, when they're hitting the Mets. You don't even notice it this year. Last year and the year before, you noticed it. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they have a guy in that dugout that is going to flip out. You know, he's a tough guy. Yes, we did it, Missy Poor us. We did it. Let's win the whole thing. Well, we'll see. Let's get tomorrow. Let's get tomorrow. We got how many wins the Mets need? 7, 11. They need 15 wins. Mets need 15 wins. The World Series champion needs 15 wins to win the whole thing. This is a fun night. Yeah, I mean Mendoza did a great job here because even when they look like they look terrible. Last year when they looked like that, Buck lost total control of that team. He looked like he had no more fire in the belly. He had so much fire in the belly in the past, but he didn't have that last year. He had the first year for a while. This guy has it. This guy has it, certainly. You know, unlike Buck did. Buck didn't have it anymore. You know. Now, of course, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and like this. I don't know. It's funny that Ed went threw his glove onto the mound. It's funny. I wonder if anybody took that glove. You know. And it's funny they mentioned this thing that there's like this terrible cloud. That terrible cloud in Georgia. That's like a toxic one. If anyone's down there in Georgia, get the hell out of there. Outright Flame says, as a Braves fan, I just want to congratulate the Mets on making it into the playoffs. It was a win-win for both teams. GG, this doubleheader was crazy. There's no like Braves live streams from TFX 121. I can't believe it. We did it. Thank you, Hud, for helping to carry us through the whole season. It's a ton of work. We appreciate it. It's not a ton of work, really. Even if I didn't have a channel, I'd be following this stuff. But at least I get to talk to people about it. You know, I got mad at one of my family members. He texted me today, like my nephew, and he's a Yankee fan. And when they took the lead and what the hell did he text me? Let me read you what he texted me. He's such a wise ass. He texted me this. I knew why he was doing it. He was trying to jinx the Mets. Let me see. Now, please hit the like, hit the subscribe button. Oh, okay. Oh, he said this at 3:34. They took the lead in the eighth inning, and I was like getting annoyed. He said, "Congrats to the Mets. Didn't think they had it in them." I was like, "Not yet. They can't play it. They can't blow it after that." And then about like 20 minutes later, I mean, now they can't blow it now. Then he texts me after the Mets won. And he goes, "See, I told you they'd win. Now you got the monkey off your back." You know, he's being a wise ass. Yeah. What did he say? He wanted to put the jinx on it. But this is how Yankee fans are. They're all like this. He said this, I tried my hardest to jinx them. They almost messed themselves again. I said, I know you did. I knew exactly what you were doing. He goes, it's funny because it happens every year to you. Let's see. Missio says this was the first game, the craziest game you've ever seen. I was crying and shouting after the Nimmo homer, and then almost felt like I died after the Albies double. After Lindor homer, I was ecstatic. Well, I didn't think that they were going to lose this game. I was like, let's give this team one more chance. They've come through every time they've had a chance. Um, they've they've worked very hard. Let's give them a chance one more time. Um, I felt very confident about them in the ninth inning, especially with Lindor coming up. I was like, bet you Lindor does something here, and boom, hit that ball out. And at first, he looked like he got under it a little bit, and I don't think Gary knew that ball was out. It carried. He got under it. You know, if you heard the call on the radio, it sounded very different. Uh, it sounded very different on the radio, to be honest with you. That's for sure. Because it didn't seem like Howie was fooled by it, but Gary was a little bit. It was like more of an anticipatorial kind of call. TFX 121 says we won't have Diaz tomorrow. Need Severino to grind out a 6-0 win. Well, he needs to go to 6. He has to go 6 innings. And then the Mets are gonna have to figure out how to get the last 9 outs. I would think that probably Reed Garrett will probably be closing out this game tomorrow. God help us. Or they'll just mix and match the last 9 outs. But they have to get a lead. I was very concerned when the Braves took the lead early because I was like, Mets have to get the lead early in the game or get the lead first in the game because obviously you get the lead first in the game, you have a 50% chance of winning. And that didn't happen tonight. Jay Darfer says, Ottavino tomorrow, probably not. It'll be interesting because they mentioned during the game that he might not even be pitching against the Brewers because of the fact that they'll still base on him like crazy. You have to be able to cut down the running game against the Brewers. And you can't have Ottavino out there. You can't have Ottavino out there at all, to be honest with you. The Mets are going to have to figure out what kind of roster they're going to have. I'm sure they've already talked about it, even though they're celebrating right now. But we'll see. This is. I can't tell you how happy I am. I don't know who's happy here, but I'm certainly ecstatic. And if you saw my video of me going nuts in the ninth inning, you saw it. That's just a great win by the Mets, and now we go to Milwaukee. It's basically about exercising demons, and in a lot of ways, we're going to be exercising a lot of demons. If the Mets win it, they're going to go through a gauntlet because they need to go through a gauntlet to win. Whenever the Mets have been a favorite, they've never played well. Hold on, I need a drink. Look. And if the Mets win World Series, I will drink champagne on the air, live. Athletics IIDX says it definitely is one of the best Mets wins I've got to ever witness. Hell of a game. It's up there. It's up there with the Game 6 against the Astros. That definitely is up there with that. With everything on the line, you're down 3-0. They mentioned this at bat. They mentioned Lenny Dykstra's at bat in the ninth inning against Nepper. And Dykstra came in, the pinch hit, and he had that big triple to lead off the ninth inning. That sort of like sparked the Mets. It's very much what happened with Tyrone Taylor in the eighth inning, where he had that 11 pitch at bat and got the double. When he got that double, I was like, here we go. Like, they're gonna score some runs here, And they had good at bats after that, and the home run by Nimmo was huge, obviously, and that really put the game. You don't really put it out of reach. But obviously, they brought in Maton, who's pitched great in September. Did not have a good game today. So on SNY, they're going to begin their SNY coverage at 4 p.m. tomorrow. So, but the game comes on at 5:35, 5:40. It doesn't matter. The Mets are in postseason. And it's the 11th time the Mets have been in the postseason. Unbelievable. I'm trying to think how many I've seen. I've seen every one except 69 and 73. So I've seen the other 9 in this one. So I've seen the other 8 in this one. It's pretty good. And when the Mets go to postseason, it's special. They'll do if they win they'll do something really special this time around. They always do something memorable, except the last time. The last time they went to postseason 2 years ago wasn't memorable, but all the other years it was memorable. I will give you an interesting trivia quirk and trivia question. The Mets have had six. See, you in the chat can figure this one out. The Mets have had 6 Rookie of the Years. 6. 5 of them have all played in the World Series for the Mets. Okay? 5 of the 6 Met Rookies of the Year have all played in the World Series. Let me ask the chat, can you name all 6 of them? If you can, you get a non-prize. a no prize. Which means, well, you won't get anything. Because it's an interesting statistic and an interesting thing about the Mets. Who are the 6 National League Rookie of the Years that the Mets got in their history? And 5 of those 6 played in the World Series and played in the World Series for the Mets. That is a great trivia question. Let's see if anybody can figure that one out. I'll give you a moment to figure that one out. Nobody knows it? That's pretty bad. Just take a wild guess. I mean, one of them's pretty easy. You know. Actually, 3 of them are really easy. There's one of those answers is pretty hard. Yeah, I wonder how Pete Rose passed away. How did he die? Probably something age-related. Again, Pete did not look bad in that documentary. Jeremy Berman says, Pete Alonso, the only one not to make it. Okay, that's right. So far. When he won Rookie of the Year back in 2015, 2019, excuse me, I was like, you know what? The Mets are going to go to the World Series with him, with the Mets. So we got, okay, Dion Rivera says this. Matlock, Strawberry, and Gooden. You know. Now, what's interesting is Matlack is hard one. That's the hard one. Most people don't get Matlack. There's one obvious one. Let's see, we need 2 more. So we got 2 more that need to be talked about here. Somebody has to know these 2. One is so easy. So easy. Hint. There you go. Ding, ding, ding. Dion Rivera. Got them all. Except for Seaver. Jeremy Berman got Seaver. Yes. Seaver, John Matlack, Darryl Strawberry, Don Gooden, Jacob deGrom, all played in the World Series for the Mets. All of them. Except for Pete Alonso. The Mets are going to postseason now. He has a shot. He has a shot to get to the World Series. So, an historical quirk about the Mets could happen. That's what's interesting about this situation that we're in right now. Is that historical quirk could happen this year. Because a Mets Rookie of the Year is going to the postseason. That's why I thought 2 years ago they were going to go to the World Series. When they were playing so great until the end. Then I was like, oh my God, until the end. But this year, they weren't expected to win. 69, they weren't expected to win. 73, they weren't expected to win. 73, Matlack won the Rookie of the Year. 67, obviously, Seaver won the Rookie of the Year. 83 and 84, Strawberry and Gooden won the Rookie of the Year. 2014, deGrom won Rookie of the Year. So you see this sort of, one year they get a Rookie of the Year, and the following year they won a World Series. They didn't do that in 68. They went to the World Series in 73. '86 they went to the World Series, but they were great in '85, and they were good in '84. In 2015 they went to the World Series and didn't win it. Athletics IIDX. Besides Iglesias, has the Mets ever had a hitting streak going into postseason? Who the hell knows? Who knows, man? Yes, Nelson Cruz says this. We'll post it. These are all the players: Seaver, DeGrom, Alonso, Darryl Strawberry, Doc Gooden, and John Matlack. All Mets Hall of Famers. Well, not Pete yet, but yeah, Seaver's a Hall of Famer, real Hall of Famer. DeGrom will be a Hall of Famer in the Mets, possibly in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Darryl Strawberry's a Mets Hall of Famer, number retired. Doc's a Hall of Famer, number retired. Matlack's a Hall of Famer, but his number's not retired. But no, I don't know. I mean, does it really matter when the postseason begins? All that stuff gets thrown out the window. To be honest with you, it doesn't matter. All those things go out the window. That's why they don't count the records. They don't count the numbers in postseason because it's unfair to players that play during the season. By the way. They're replaying what Mendoza said at the end of the game. And he's right. Nobody thought the Mets would be there. Now, again, please like this video and subscribe. I think I'm going to end the live stream now. This was a fun day. It was an exhausting game, that first game. And we're going to have a lot of more ups and downs for this week. The last month and a half has been a lot of playoff games. Every game's been a playoff game. Now we're going to play some real playoff games starting tomorrow. The Mets have a shot. They're going into the postseason with a lot of momentum. They've been the best team in baseball since June 1st. And every time Mets had former Yankees as managers, Berra, Randolph, Showalter, and now Mendoza have taken Mets to playoffs. That's a weird quirk. Here's another weird quirk. The year after Buck Showalter got fired from a job, the team won World Series the next year. Just keep that in mind. Like it did, like he wasn't even there. He was there in 92, 93, 94, 95 with the Yankees. They fired him, and then they won the World Series the following year. Then he goes and works for the Diamondbacks for about 4 or 5 years. He gets his team to be good in 98, starts the team out. They go to postseason 99 and 2000, and they were a disaster. And then they win the World Series in 2001, But he didn't do a good. I mean, he did an okay job in Texas. He wasn't there that long. He did a good job in Baltimore. They came awfully close to going to the World Series. Steve Sophia says, appreciate the live stream, HUD. Great day to be a Mets fan. Absolutely. There are going to be better days ahead. Another member of my family texted me early and said, this is like Christmas morning. No, not yet. Not yet. Not yet. We're not there yet. Tell me, when the Mets have 3 wins in the World Series, then I'll be like, this is Christmas. We're not there yet. So I'm going to end the live stream. I want to thank everybody for coming by. I'll be back again tomorrow. There will not be a video on this channel tomorrow. I'll be on after the game. Hopefully after the Mets win in the first round of the Wild Card Series against the Brewers. It's not going to be easy. The Brewers are a tough team. They're playoff, toughened. They're a terrific team. Okay, they have a good bullpen. They have a good pitching staff. They're very athletic. They're going to steal a lot of bases in this series. It is going to be tough. Okay. This is not going to be easy. This is going to probably be the most difficult round that the Mets will have to face. This round will be the toughest because this is probably the toughest team, the toughest matchup for the Mets is the Brewers. Tougher than the Padres, tougher than the Phillies, and tougher than the Dodgers and the Braves down the line. I think the Dodgers are going to beat I think the Padres are going to beat the Braves, by the way, because the Padres, the Braves were a mad team after they lost that first game. They were pissed off that they lost. I don't know if you know that, but they were really mad. That's what that people were saying in the clubhouse after the first games, that they were really pissed off that they didn't win. They had that game in their hands. And they don't have Chris Sale at all during that series. And the Padres are a good team, and they've been winning like crazy. All right. So I kind of expect the Padres to beat the Braves. But then again, like I said, the most difficult game and series the Mets will face is the next 3 games against the Brewers. They've beaten the hell out of the Mets the last couple of years. They run like crazy, like I said. Their bullpen is terrific. Their pitching is very good. They have a very good athletic lineup. They're going to be very difficult to beat. And the Mets have to play a perfect game, in particular against them. Now, I look forward to the next series. If they play the Phillies, it's going to be a lot of fun, personally for me. But got to get past the Brewers. Got to get past tomorrow. Get the first win of the series. It puts the Brewers at a major disadvantage because then it's a must-win for them. And that's what they need to do. So this is going to be a lot of fun tomorrow. Get some rest. I got to work tomorrow. But I'll be back here after that game. So I said the game's on at 5:30. We'll probably be on around 8:30. We'll be on for a while. And I'm glad they're playing the Brewers because they're playing early and I can stream after the games. All those games are at 5:30, so we'll be able to stream and have fun and make fun of the Brewers if the Mets beat them and make fun of me too. So and make fun of some people that come into the chat pretending to be Met fans but are Yankee fans. And say hello to some Braves fans that want to come in and rain on our parade. How did the Braves feel having lost that game and then getting the consolation prize? The Mets called dogs off in the 9th inning, by the way, in that second game. If they really wanted to bury them in that 9th inning, they probably could have. Well, thank you for watching this live stream. We'll be back in tomorrow. Let's go Mets. Let's party. And, of course, thank you for watching. Have a good night, and I'll see you later.